Welcome back, year three, for a little bit more of You Ain't Seen Nothing Yeti. So we're on to chapter 22, just chapter 2. I'm jumping ahead of myself, which is called Trogmawat. It was obvious something was wrong as I reached the ground floor with a bump. I was only just clambering out of the chairlift when I heard the library wallpaper grumbling. Yep, I told you our hotel was weird. It's our version of normal round here, I suppose. Anyway, it doesn't take long for juicy news to spread when you're living in a magical hotel. The walls have ears, quite literally. Nothing in the whole world loves gossip quite as much as our enchanted wallpaper does. It's covered in nattering clamshells and painted vines that blossom and wilt as the seasons change. And everyone knows that rumours travel quickest by vine. I swear, keeping a secret in this place is nearly impossible. My heart started to race. It wouldn't be long before the whispers had snaked from room to room, and all of our guests would know about the right pickle before I did, and there was no way I was going to let that happen. So you can see all the different patterns on the enchanted wallpaper. And down the bottom, one of the clams is having a little nap. You can see all the Zs. Carrying Hoggett under my arm, I raced out of the library to the grand foyer of the hotel and nearly fell backwards in surprise. In all my sleepiness, I'd completely forgotten that today was Trogmany. It's the last day of the magical calendar, and later that evening we'd be throwing the most amazerous, tummy-tinkling party imaginable. It's the biggest shindig we have all year, and it's our busiest time, with hundreds of magicals travelling to the hotel from all over the world to feast and celebrate together. You humans have your New Year celebration at the end of December. I know that, but we enchanted types have ours in June, on the longest day of summer. It's an extra special time, and we always throw a tremendous garden party with fireworks and music and mountains of food. Happy Trogmany, young Francis, an overexcited Impalump chuckled at me as I stood gawping in the doorway. I hate it when people call me Francis, but I smiled and nodded regardless, as the Impalump waddled away, carrying an armful of gifts, grinning from ear to ear. A jolly trolliday to you! I glanced around for a moment and almost forgot about finding Nancy as quickly as possible. Reception was already crowded and bustling with cheerful guests waving and nattering, and everything had been decorated for our big summer celebration, and it looked terrific. Mr. Crocombe, the hotel gardener, had decked the chandeliers with bunches of bizarre flowers that changed colour from yellow to blue to purple to pink, and there were enchanted garlands of bright orange marigolds all around the spiral staircase that wept a constant rainfall of petals down on the happy holidaymakers below. Gladys Potts, the werepoodle, was howling her favourite Trolliday songs from the first floor balcony, and Madame Macready was reading a book of Trogmany ghost stories to a group of nervously giggling grumplings at the bottom of the stairs. That's not how I remember it, Lady Leona Grey scoffed, plucking a ghostly fan from the air and wafting herself with it when Macready got to an especially spooky part of her story. Do you, Norris? She asked, and she turned to where the wailing Norris, another of our ghost guests, had been floating, but he'd already screamed and run away. It's orthotheftis, said one of the Molar sisters, triplet tooth fairies called Dentita, Jimvida, and Flora, as the trio spun round the floor, performing a traditional celebration jig. We knew from the first one the tooth fairies have awful teeth, so they can't speak very well because they've lost lots of them. They wobbled and shimmied about like a three Trogmany trifles, gnashing their rotten teeth merrily. Happy Death indeed! I spotted Mum at the stone reception desk. She was busily checking in a line of moss gremlins for the weekend and fussing at the same time about a vase of dead flowers that Mr. Crocombe had left behind on the counter. Our hotel handy ogre, Oof, was next to Mum, holding a tray filled with glasses of fizzy Trogmagog cocktails. "Hello, Frankie," Oof yelled, waving a massive green arm and accidentally throwing the tray of drinks right across the room. It smashed through one of the windows next to the front door and vanished out of sight and down the garden path. Oops. That was when Mum looked up and saw me. "Jolly holidays," she beamed. "Morning, sleepyhead. Look at you, still in your pyjamas." Mum always loves magical celebrations. I mean, really, really loves them. I think it's because she's completely human, so it all seems extra brilliant to her. Got lots of pictures on this one, so go to the big screen. Okay, so we've got Oof and Mum and his tray of drinks. You've got our ghosts here riding away, our grumplings and our trolls, and then some other guests over on this side, and the tooth fairy over here, the 3 tooth fairies. I headed round the fountain in the middle of the black and white tiled floor, reached the reception desk, and was just about to open my mouth when... "I'm so excited," Mum said, clapping her hands. "This Trogmany is going to be the best one we've ever had. I can feel it." She looked so happy that I wouldn't have been surprised if her head had floated off her shoulders. "Mum, I can't wait to see what Nancy's rustling up for our festive feast," she said, practically giggling. "I hope there's plenty of scrambled unicorn eggs." "Nancy!" I was wasting time. I had to go and find out about the right pickle. Whatever had happened, it was obvious that Mum didn't know, and that was a good thing. I'm just going to go to some more. Mum would have thrown a serious wobbler if she knew we were in the middle of yet another drama, especially on Trogmany. "Grah!" Hoggett wiggled in my arm and blew out more little smoke rings. Mum spotted it immediately. "What's wrong with Hoggett?" Nothing?" "Francis!" Mum's face fell into a frown. "What is going on?" "Nothing," I said again, pulling my best happy face. I felt like my heart was about to play a tune on the inside of my ribs and give me away. "Hoggett's just filled with Trogmany cheer, aren't you, boy?" Mum stared for a second. "Something's wrong. I can See you, Mum!" I shouted far too loudly. "Happy Trogmany!" And before she could say another word, I spun on my heels and raced out of the reception. Okay, come back for another instalment. We're up to chapter 3 next, which is called Nancy's News.